Tuesday was one of those days. August 21st. It's a fairly significant day in my life. August 21st, 1983, 35 years ago. I grew up in the Philippines. Former Senator Benigno Aquino was assassinated on his return to the Philippines after several years of self-imposed exile in Boston. It was an event that woke me up socially, politically, had lots of repercussions for the country. But that wasn't what my Tuesday was about. August 21, 1993, 10 years after the Aquino assassination, was also the date when I took my first vows in the Jesuits. When one first joins the Jesuits, one is a novice for 2 years, learning what religious life is all about, familiarizing oneself with the Society of Jesus, performing experiments, those are trials, if you will, that are designed to test your call to the Jesuits, so you're sent to work in various places. So it was my 25th year since I made my first vows, but that wasn't what my Tuesday was all about. August 21st, 2009, 16 years after I took my first vows, I took my solemn vows, what we sometimes in the Jesuits call our final vows. It was simply a matter of coincidence that they took place on the same date. It was really a matter of scheduling more than any kind of devotion on my part. I didn't even know it was the same date. But it's a pretty significant date, August 21st. But that wasn't what my Tuesday was about either. As a matter of fact, I had completely forgotten that Tuesday was August 21st. And as Diane will tell you, that next day at Mass, I remembered to pray for my classmates because I'd totally forgotten what happened the day before. It was only while I was watching the Great British Baking Show, which is a pretty good show, by the way, that for some reason I remembered what Tuesday was. So as I had mentioned earlier, Tuesday was one of those days. I had gotten a call that morning, right outside here, from a very good friend, a diocesan priest from Ohio, who was calling to vent his frustration. "This is really, really disheartening," he said. "I really did not want to face my congregation last Sunday because the Pennsylvania report really hit him hard as it hit me and just about every other priest I know." I didn't tell him I was 20 minutes late to Mass. "And it seems that everyone is writing letters about it. The Pope did. So did Bishop McElroy, and his letter is going to be sent around the diocese next week. The Jesuit Provincial Superior here on the West Coast wrote a letter. And then just yesterday, a letter came from Rome from the Superior General of the Jesuits. And the themes are the same. Themes of sorrow, themes of shame, themes of support for the victims of child abuse. Which is all well and good, but it never really changes the reality of so many lives changed and destroyed by the evil that is child abuse, of victims and their families who have to live with this every day. So it's really easy to go to a dark place. Yes, we are angry. Yes, we are outraged. Yes, we are livid, and we begin to question, how can one go to church after all this? Echoes of Jesus' question in today's gospel. I've been asked it many times this week. How can one have even a shred of faith and confidence in this institutional church in the face of this massive betrayal of trust? How indeed? I'm sure it's crossed your minds. I'm sure it's happened more than once. But on Tuesday night, as I said, I was watching an old episode of the Great British Baking Show. I got a text at 9:07 p.m. Ding, went my phone. From a former student of mine named Tim. And it read, "Hey." And I'm like, all right. "Will you be able to baptize a baby in February?" Third line, question mark. And in that split second, on Tuesday night at 9:07 p.m., Tuesday was a completely different day for me. I had a smile on my face all evening long. Tim was a sophomore in high school at Loyola High School in Los Angeles, and I was his biology teacher 22 years ago. I married him and his wife, Anna, 5 years ago, baptized their son, Miles. They had another son, Wyatt, who they lost soon after he was born due to medical complications. And I keep Wyatt in my prayers all the time. So the fact that they are having another child, and in the midst of all this darkness, they want the child to be baptized, to become a member of this Christian community in the Catholic Church. Well, that for me was literally a light shining in the darkness that was Tuesday. Because here was God's grace reaching out and offering just a glimmer of hope that the light does shine in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it. I've never understood that as much as I did on Tuesday night. And then on Wednesday, I met with David and Rachel to go over today's baptism for their son Will. And I mentioned this to the two of them, that in the midst of all this darkness, that they want to have their child baptized here to become a member of the Christian community in the Catholic Church. And I think that more than anything else we could have done today, this was scheduled a long time ago, by the way, more than anything else that could have done today is our light shining in this darkness. And with God's grace, and only with God's grace, can we be confident that the darkness will never overcome it.